Every field has its own jargon and terminology. Think of physics, think of mathematics. Well, the same is true for discussions about grammar and usage. What might be considered a very odd concept is actually a very important concept and has concrete implications. I'm, of course, referring to the concept of number. In usage rule number 9 in Strunk and White's Elements of Style, we come across the rule which states the number of the subject determines the number of the verb. Now, many of you might not realize that subjects have numbers or that verbs have numbers, but we do understand that there can be one of something or there can be many of something. Well, there can be a noun which is singular, such as cat, or there can be a noun which is plural, which is cats. We add an S to the end of a noun in order to make it plural. Well, if we have a number for a subject, well, this will invariably have a consequence on the number of the verb. In other words, there is usually a singular as well as a plural version of a verb. Think of the verb form of being is. Is obviously singular, whereas are, is plural. Now this becomes confusing because during the sentence, we can be confused as to the number of the subject and how it affects the number of the verb. Now here we have an example. The subject here is the bittersweet flavor of youth. Of course, the noun is flavor, and flavor is singular. However, as the sentence progresses with a tangent set off by dashes, we see other nouns such as trials, joys, adventures, challenges. This might lead us to believe that the number of the subject is plural, but in fact, the number of the subject always was singular, flavor of youth, so therefore the number of the verb should also be singular. By writing the bittersweet flavor of youth are not forgotten, we're confusing the number of the subject and the number of the verb. They should both be singular. The way to correct this would be to cross out are and to add is not forgotten. Another source of confusion is with the phrase one of the. Whenever we use the phrase one of the, even though one may seem to be singular, because we're saying one of those people, we're actually referring to maybe a number of people or a group of people. He is or she is one of those people. Now, one of those people would suggest that the number of the subject is singular, but in fact it is plural. It's a group of people or a class of people. So therefore, the number of the verb should also be plural. We cross out the is and we add are. One of those people, the number of the subject being plural, and therefore the number of the verb should be plural. So we use are. Another source of confusion is with everybody. Everybody might seem like a number of people, but it's actually one person. The number of the subject here is singular. Everybody thinks they have a sense of humor. We often make this mistake when we're speaking. But in writing, we need to remember that everybody has as a number singular. Therefore, we should not write they have a sense of humor, but we should write he has a sense of humor. Thus, the number of the subject and the number of verb determine each other.